Well, thanks for stopping in to Night Shift's video. My name is James, and tonight I have a very special guest with me. This guy is
Danny. Hello.
Hey, Danny, I have a topic for you today. Like, it's kind of a story, but it's more of an article. I'm going to read
Wow.
a lot of an article today.
Okay, I'll put my listening ears on.
So you ever heard the phrase little green men?
Of course. Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you know that really up until about 1955, that phrase wasn't really a thing?
That's really interesting. I have an immediate theory, but please go on.
There were UFOs sightings. There
Yep.
were people who talked about creatures from other planets and alien things. I mean, UFO hysteria happens, the 60s.
Yeah.
But in 1955, a little thing happened in a little town that's about an hour away from where my parents live in Kentucky.
Oh.
It was Kelly, Kentucky. Still called that. Kelly, Kentucky. And this is known as the Kelly Hopkinsville incident.
Okay. I've never heard of this incident, and I would like to know more.
I would like to know what your theory was before I tell you about it.
Well, it's not as much of a theory as much of I remember that the cartoon The Flintstones came out sometime around the 50s, and in the cartoon The Flintstones there was
a little Martian. Yeah, I forget his name.
It was the Great Gazoo.
That's it.
He was a little green.
You
alien
know
man.
so much about Hanna-Barbera.
And he was the weirdest part of the cartoon because he could do friggin' anything. He's hanging out with Barney and
he was basically Mr. Mxyzptlk from Superman.
He was, yes, and he could just show up and
or Batmite from Batman.
He called Fred a dum-dum all the time. It was hilarious. Please go on.
How do you know so much about Hanna-Barbera?
We had Boomerang when I was a kid, and I boomeranged every friggin' day.
I watched a lot, but you pull out these deep cut Hanna-Barbera stuff all the time.
Great Gazoo. He's a big part of the
Great Gazoo, Blue Falcon.
Blue Falcon.
You just always know it.
It's a rabbit hole. Gotta be careful.
All right. Okay, so the mythology began in part on the night of August 21st, 1955, when a large extended farm family called the Suttons arrived breathlessly at the Hopkinsville police station in southwestern Kentucky.
Okay.
Their story of a terrifying siege by otherworldly beings would become one of the most detailed and baffling accounts of an alien encounter on a record. Notable for the large number of witnesses, there was like 12 of them in this family living in this farmhouse.
But they're all part of the same family?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
And the duration of the encounter.
Okay.
So apparently this went on for several hours.
Okay.
It wasn't just like, oh shit, we saw that thing. Go to the police.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite like that. And the close proximity between the witnesses and the creatures. Apparently, at times, they were just a few feet away. Not too far. The incident quickly became regional and even national news. The alleged encounter occurred on the Suttons farm in the tiny rural hamlet of Kelly, Kentucky, where the family lived in an unpainted 3-room house with no running water, no telephone, no radio, no TV, and no books.
Okay. Poor as heck. Got it.
Of all the details of their story, the UFO landing and the appearance of small alien creatures, one fact is indisputable. When the 8 adults and 3 children arrived at the Hopkinsville police station at about 11 p.m., they were genuinely terror-struck. These are not the kind of people who would normally run to the police for help, Police Chief Russell Greenwell later told investigators. What they do is reach for their guns.
Yep. No books, but we got guns.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yet here they were, women and children hysterical, and one man with a pulse of 140 beats per minute measured by an investigator. Dude is freaking out. According to the accounts given to the police at about 7 p.m. on the hot Sunday evening, the Sutton family's friend, Billy Ray Taylor. You can't make up these Kentucky names. Billy Ray Taylor.
Okay.
Was fetching water from the backyard when he saw a silvery object, real bright, with an exhaust all the colors of the rainbow. As he later recounted, it came silently towards the house, passed over it, stopped in the air, and then dropped straight to the ground. Taylor was 21, and his 18-year-old wife, again, Kentucky, had come from Pennsylvania to visit Lucky Sutton, with whom he had worked on in a traveling carnival.
Okay.
So Lucky's one of the Sutton boys,
Okay.
and him and Billy Ray Taylor were carnies together.
Okay.
The Suttons, the Suttons' 50-year-old widow and matriarch, Glennie Langford. Glennie. That name throws me for a loop. It's hard to get that one out. Glennie Langford. Her 2 older sons and their wives, a brother-in-law, and the widow's 3 younger children, which were 12, 10, and 7, did not take Billy Ray seriously about the UFO, laughing off his account. Billy Ray, what are you talking about? An hour later, alerted by the dogs barking, Lucky and Billy Ray went to the back door and made out a strange glow.
Okay.
Stop it.
Sorry.
In the midst of which they spied a small humanoid creature about 3.5 feet tall. It had an oversized head, almost perfectly round, its arms extended almost to the ground. Its hands had talons, and its oversized eyes glowed with a yellowish light. The body gave off an eerie shimmer in the light of the night's new moon, they said, as if made of silvery metal.
Okay.
Terrified, the 2 men grabbed a 20-gauge shotgun and a .22 rifle and started shooting at it.
Yep.
The little man, its hands now raised as if it were held up at gunpoint, came towards the back door. They reported that it then did a flip, scrambled upright, and fled out to the darkness.
Don't nobody in Kentucky know how to do a flip.
Shortly after, the men saw a similar creature in the side window and fired through the window screen. Still impervious to bullets, this little man again flipped, then disappeared. I went out to the hallway and crouched down next to Billy when I saw one approaching the door. Mrs. Langford told Isabel Davis, author of an extensive report called Close Encounter at Kelly and Others of 1955.
Got it.
That's the whole title of that thing, if you want to look it up. It looked like a 5-gallon gasoline can with a head on top of small legs. I don't know that description makes much sense to us today.
I can picture it.
I don't know
Not a red 5-gallon
typical 5-gallon gasoline can actually looked like in 1955, though.
Cylindrical.
I assume they were cylindrical instead of the boxy shape that it would be today. Who knows? So there is that. The drama escalated when Taylor stepped outside under the small overhanging roof, and those behind him saw a claw-like hand reach down and touch his hair.
Ew.
The group screamed and pulled Taylor back, while Lucky shot above the overhang and then at another similar creature that was in a nearby tree. It floated to the ground and then scurried off into the woods. The Suttons moved inside and spent several hours listening for movements, hearing mostly occasional scratches on the roof. At 11 p.m., the whole group ran for their cars and hightailed it to the police station at top speed. After the local police chief called for backup, his team was joined at the Sutton farm by state police, military police from Fort Campbell, and a photographer from the Kentucky New Era. There, investigators found shell casings from the gunshots, but no other evidence.
Yep.
Neither could they find proof of any heavy drinking. Didn't look like the Suttons was drunkies.
Okay.
According to the Sutton matriarch, liquor was not allowed in her farmhouse.
You gotta go back drink. Okay.
Hey, my parents are about an hour away from this, and they live in a dry county.
Wow.
Like legit dry county. You can't buy alcohol anywhere ever. You have to leave the county to get alcohol and then bring it back.
Gosh.
Crazy that places like that even exist, right?
Yeah.
Once the police and others left, the creatures apparently returned between 2:30 a.m. and daybreak.
Sure.
Mrs. Langford said she saw one glowing repeatedly by her bedside window, its claw-like hand on the screen.
Freaking creep.
So this was really this story gained immense popularity. It was in newspapers all over the country, and this is basically our first account of an alien that looks the way that we think the typical almond eye, big green head
Besides those
alien
long
looks.
arm talon fingers. That was the one. That was
That
the one
is
piece of
interesting.
the description that I was like,
There's a couple different police sketches online from that night, and this is probably the most contemporary.
Sure.
And going off of this, you're the perfect guest to have on tonight
Thank you.
because nerd alert, in Pokemon, the design for Sableye
got it.
is literally based
on this
off of this story.
That's what I was thinking about. I wasn't going to say it, obviously, because
This drawing looks just like Sableye.
just like Sableye.
Isn't that
Just
nuts?
like they just smashed some stones onto it and they said, "Bam, it's a ghost."
Boom, there it be.
And amazing.
We'll drop a picture of Sableye on the YouTube video, but if you don't know, you can look for it on our YouTube, or I might throw something out there on Instagram if you're just a podcast listener so you can see it. But
Yep. I wish
otherwise, you can just Google it. Sableye is a Pokemon from
Generation 3, Ruby and Sapphire. You could first find it in the cave at
Here he goes.
Dewford Town.
And apparently his design was very much based off of the design, the description of the creatures in the story.
Incredible. I wish Sableye looked that derpy, though. That was a
Derpy as hell.
I was picturing a lot different alien in my head. It definitely wasn't that derpy.
Well, you gotta imagine the guys at the Hopkinsville police department in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, might not be, masters of the pen.
It's so interesting. It got so many descriptions. Look at those eyes, and it's all long arms, it's got claws. They drew the pectoral muscles, and they're like,
They
"What
sure
does his
did.
mouth look like?" It was like
Burp.
it was like a line, right? Okay.
Yeah. So there you have it. That's the story of the Kelly Hopkinsville incident.
Terrifying and hilarious.
All right. Well, that about does it for us here tonight for Night Shift Video. I am James, and this is
Danny.
And we're just saying, thanks for stopping in.